Patch 1.1 is here, and alongside with it brought a whole bunch of new changes to the PvP. Now the main one being is that all weapons, some spells and skills just stagger a lot more now, to the point where armor just isn't as useful anymore. Now other changes that came alongside with this patch is that the skills and spells have a lot more hyper armor now, and backstabs are easy to pull off, and crit damage in general just does more damage. Now the poise damage changes means two different things. One is that armor doesn't matter as much anymore, so Fashion Souls is now back on the menu, which is great because your boy obviously loves to make his character look as clean as possible. And number two is that small weapons just benefit a lot more now because you can stagger a lot better. So you'll see a lot more straight swords, curved swords, and thrusting swords. So basically this patch has brought the game a lot more in line to what Dark Souls 3 PvP is like. And obviously a lot of weapons have benefited off this. So I've been on stream all day just testing out a bunch of different stuff, and I've compiled a list of 5 weapons of which I enjoyed to play with that have benefited greatly off this patch. Now obviously there's going to be a lot more than 5. If you guys have your own types of findings, just let me know down in the comments. But yeah, that way, let's just get into it. Now starting off the list, I want to talk about the URUMI. Now whips in general have just benefited greatly off this patch because they just stagger very well, to the point where like you can just be at a distance and not even have to worry about engaging with enemies because whips have absolutely amazing range, and combined with the fact that phantom range actually exists, yeah, whips are just going to be a lot more obnoxious than what they used to be like. But the URUMI specifically is an amazing weapon because one, it gets an S scaling in dexterity, so if you pair it alongside other types of dexterity Ashes of War like Lightning Ram or Thunderbolt, it's just going to be doing really good damage. And its heavy attacks have insane range. When you fully charge it, it pretty much like makes it straight and just does an insane poking attack that obviously does piercing damage as well. So it's really good for counterattack damage, and it has insane ranges. Plenty of times where I've actually just cross-mapped people basically, and the phantom range just comes into effect, and it just feels like it hits them so far away. But yeah, the range that it does get, the fact that it can stagger very well, definitely makes URUMI a much better option. Now next up, I want to talk about the ERDSTEEL dagger. Now daggers in general didn't really benefit much. They still don't really stagger as well with their light attack combos. However, with their heavy attacks, they do stagger relatively well. And with the ERDSTEEL dagger, it has a really solid heavy attack to where it has a cool little double slash that comes out extremely fast. Now it does show the exact same heavy attack as the Blade of Calling and the Black Knife, but you can just do way more damage with the ERDSTEEL dagger because it already gets a faith scaling and you can infuse it. So very similar to the Clayman's Harpoon. If you actually have it magic infused, it kind of just doubles down into intelligence. So the same thing going on here. If you have it faith infused, it's going to double down into faith. I'm just going to have a sacred infusion here with Sacred Blade. Now you can just use that Flame Art infusion with obviously Flaming Strike if you wanted to do that and be cringe that way. I just wanted to use something a bit different because, you know, want to use different stuff for the first time in months, so might as well. But yes, just spamming heavy attacks with the ERDSTEEL dagger is definitely the play because it does stagger very well. You can actually guarantee combo it, follow up into different types of light attacks as well. It's a really nice weapon to use. Now the third weapon I want to talk about is the ZAMOR curved sword. Now, as a weapon itself, it just sucks ass. I despise the light attack combo. It has terrible range as well. I just wish it was a lot faster for how much range that this thing actually does get. But its weapon skills, ZAMOR Ice Storm, is absolutely amazing now, and it just stun locks enemies for days. And obviously you do get some hyper armor with this thing as well, so it's really cool that way. So you can just pretty much use a weapon skill, gain some hyper armor, slam it into the ground, things just get stun locked, and just end up doing like about 1,000 damage every single time enemies just walk into you as well. And the weapon actually has a hitbox when you actually slam it into the ground, so you actually can stun lock enemies that way as well. So you actually can just trade out and do a whole bunch of damage. As you can tell by their gameplay, things are just getting shredded. As soon as they just walk into it, they just get stun locked. They get instantly frostbitten because I think ZAMOR Ice Storm has like the best frostbite up in the entire game. It's absolutely insane that way. But yeah, hopefully maybe From Software actually buffs the light attack combo because it does actually suck. The hit detection is absolutely terrible. But yeah, Ice Storm definitely carries. And next up, we have the SHAMSHIR. Now, basically all small weapons two-handed benefit greatly off this patch. So straight swords, thrusting swords, two-handing them is going to be great, especially with those straight swords because you're going to spam the crouching attacks as well. So another weapon that has insane crouching pokes. But the SHAMSHIR has an incredibly quick light attack combo, quicker than all the other curved swords, alongside the scimitar as well. But the SHAMSHIR is just going to be the better option due to its better damage and better scalings as well. So just spamming the light attack is just going to be the play here. So if you're going to have that same type of Dark Souls 3 feeling, just infuse it with Sword Dance and you pretty much have something like the Follower Saber, and just spam R1, spam weapon skill, and you'll be perfectly fine. Very cheesy weapon, definitely benefited greatly off this patch. At number 1, we have the Hand of Malenia. I was never really expecting this thing to be good in PvP like ever. But here we are. It's really good now because it staggers extremely well and actually gets a little bit of hyper armor as well. No longer do you just like get hit by like a dagger and fall straight to the ground. You actually do tank a little bit of attacks and you do stun lock extremely well. Those first two parts of the weapon skill are just guaranteed basically to where you can just shred a whole bunch of enemies. And obviously the hand of Malenia is a katana, so you do get a pretty decent moveset outside of those heavy attacks because they're kind of cringe. So obviously power sensing is really good now as well. And it actually obviously going to have amazing range, and you obviously do get inherent bleed. Now, still some annoying things about the waterfowl dance weapon skill is that it does consume a lot of stamina, so I do recommend just pairing it alongside a lot of endurance. And there's that weird thing to where you can't delay the input. You have to like just use it straight away, and if you do delay it, then it queues up the input, then you have to do it all over again. It's really annoying. I wish they'd fix that, but it's still a very solid weapon even right now. Anyway, that concludes that list. I actually might make a bit more PvP content because it has been a long time since I've last touched it, because honestly, I kind of just quit it because it was really, really annoying. I just do not like the PvP in this game that much. I prefer the PvE a lot more, hence why my content for the past few months has just been PvE dominated. But if you do want to see other types of content creators that actually are more in tune with the PvP and are a lot more familiar than I am, because I've actually kind of developed more of a casual approach, being that I haven't played it in such a long time, definitely check out guys like Chase the Bro. He's a very positive type of dude. So if you actually want someone more in line with what I do in terms of like complaining and criticizing the game itself, check out guys like G9 and Steelovsky. Those guys are very in tune with the PvP and are not afraid to talk shit as well, which is cool. So definitely check out those guys. I'll probably link their channels down below. But yeah, that way. See you next one, guys. Bye.